Port Charlotte Heavily Peated Islay Single Malt. 5 of those 7 words are my favorite words in whiskey. Let's get into it. Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Tonight I've got a surprise for your senses, a nuance for your nose. This is honestly not that much of a nuance, but it's still alliteration and I like it. So, 10-year-old Port Charlotte Heavily Peated Islay Single Malt. Hell yeah, right? So, Bruichladdich is an awesome distillery and it's one worth knowing about. So if you've never seen my video that I did on the regular Bruichladdich unpeated, you should go watch that. I'll put a link up in the thing and I'll put a link down in the comments. You should go check that out. There's a lot of good history there and it's worth knowing because frankly, they're a cool company. So I'll give you a quick little rundown, right? So they work out of this distillery that has very old machinery. They kept it true to what was originally in the distillery way back when, before it was rebought in the early 2000s. And when they did so, they disassembled the entire distillery, they rebuilt it so everybody kind of knew how everything worked, and that's how they make their whiskey. Very, very cool. They're using little things like flotation devices and dipsticks and just whatever else they can do. A lot of very cool machinery worth knowing about. Anyway, now Bill, you say pensively, why are you talking about Bruichladdich? I thought we were talking about Port Charlotte. Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. Now, Bruichladdich is kind of the umbrella that controls 3 different brand names, if you want to think of it. It's all kind of one and the same, but they have 3 different lines. They have what's considered the unpeated, which in this case, classic Laddie, but just in general, Bruichladdich, right? Then you have the heavily peated in the Port Charlotte. Then you have the super heavily peated in the Octomore. I don't have a bottle of Octomore. If anybody from Bruichladdich is watching, I would love a bottle of Octomore. All right, anyway. So the name Port Charlotte comes from this distillery that's located fairly close, but it's shut down in 1929. So it's kind of an homage to that. And once again, goes back to the whole Bruichladdich kind of caring about the island thing. Now, let's talk a little bit about this whiskey. Now, this is a combination of 65% first fill American casks, which leads me to think Jack Daniels. It's 10% second fill American whiskey casks and 25% second fill French wine casks. It's 10 years old, 50% ABV, non-chill filtered, non-colored. So, while I'm pouring, allow me to plug the Patreon for a minute. You guys know I don't really live stream all that much, and so, I know that that's a thing you guys want. Unfortunately, my life, career, all that stuff doesn't really allow for it. But I do offer extra content in my Patreon, so if you're interested in things like first tastes, like every bottle up here, I've done a video, I think 44 of them at this point. Just first taste, first impressions, the neck pour, if you want to say. So there's extra content there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. Check it out in the link below. That's it. So let's go ahead and get into this whiskey. Now, the first thing you're going to notice, obviously, right, it's characteristic of Islay in that not everything from Islay is peated, but it is something that we typically associate. Now, if you smell, even from way over here, you can smell the peat. You can smell smoke, but there's nuance. That word does actually mean something here. There's a lot going on in the nose here, so allow me to get into it. Well, other than taking me to my happy place, the nuance in the nose here takes me to a few different things. It reminds me of a few different things. So iodine is kind of along the right line, but not really. So when I think iodine, I think something more like a Lafroig 10. That's a different direction than what this is taking. This has elegance. This has a gentleness to the smoke that it doesn't overpower. Frankly speaking, and actually, no, I'm going to say that for the overview. Hopefully I remember talking about new people. But anyway, the nuance here, the nose here, geez, my goodness, sorry. The nose here has to do with oceanic spray. It has to do with lemon. It has to do with vanilla. Maybe a little bit of mint in there as well. just a hint. It could be me. I'm not sure. Let me know if you guys smell mint in this as well. That's a nuance that I think that's going to be the word of the day today. There's more to this. So something I spotted while I was doing my research, I really try very hard not to look at other people's nosing and tasting notes if I happen to end up on a blog to just kind of get some of the history around it. I try real hard to go into these things blind. But something I happen to see, because it was put into one of the paragraphs, was linseed oil. I happen to think to myself, well, I have some linseed oil, and I haven't smelled linseed oil in a very long time. Is this something I should be getting out of my Isle of Whiskeys? So, I went to my little stock room back there where I keep all of my woodworking stuff, grabbed some linseed oil, and had to actually use my hammer to kind of crack this thing open. It was totally just to get stuck close. But I'm going to do it a little bit further away because, I mean, it is a chemical, or whatever you want to say. It's a little bit harsh. You don't want to be just sniffing this stuff. But if you smell this, I will tell you, not a chance. Not at all. It's not at all in this whiskey. So, at least for me. But thank you, random whiskey blog reviewer, for making me smell linseed oil as part of this review. I appreciate that. Okay, anyway, let's go into the taste, because this is just good stuff. Cheers. First sip. First sip is going to hit a little bit harsh, in a good way. Harsh is not the right word. It is a strong indication that you are drinking a peated whiskey. The nose comes through heavily in the mouth on the first sip. Now here's where it's different. On the second sip, you are no longer shocking your mouth with that flavor. You are now going to start getting all of the good stuff in this. So let's do that second sip. Cheers again. Fruity. For me, I mean, it's still smoke. Don't get me wrong. If you're drinking this, you're gonna taste smoke. Get past that. Roll it around on your tongue. Let it coat the inside of your mouth. Think about it. What else do you get? For me, I get pears. I get apples. I get kind of like a menthol or maybe a clove as well. But that's when it starts to dry on your tongue, which you get. You know, you get that, I'd say, pretty common among different peated whiskeys. You're getting vanilla, you're getting lemon, you're getting salt, kind of a brininess of that ocean water. The finish here, once you get past that menthol, is also giving you a bit of chocolate, which is super cool, right? I love chocolate in whiskeys. I always am surprised when it shows up, especially because it seems to be scattered throughout every kind of whiskey. You can get chocolate in anything, which means it's probably coming from the barrels. But still, I mean, most of the flavor is going to come from the barrels. But anyway, let's talk overall, because clearly I hate this whiskey. I'm going to put that aside because I'm going to drink that while I'm editing. But let's talk overall. I had some friends over the other night. We have this group of people. I mean, it's still Corona, so I have this group of people. We all hang out together. We kind of stay as quarantined as we can and, you know, social distance, hang out, whatever. So we did a whiskey tasting the other day. And super fun. I took them down here. I let them just kind of look here and pick out 2 bottles of something that they wanted, anything that they wanted off the shelf. And that was really fun to watch what they picked. But then I said I was going to pick a 3rd bottle for us all to share. And this is what I picked. I saved it for last, as one should when drinking a smoky whiskey. And around the table, the socially distant table, we all loved it. And of course we did. I mean, this whiskey is amazing. And the thing that I was going to bring up earlier, this right here is a good whiskey to introduce a newcomer to peat. I've often said that Ardbeg 10 would be one of my choices. I think this now might be my top choice for a peated whiskey to give to somebody new. The smoke here is still going to hit, and you should warn them. But that second sip is going to be awesome, and it's going to teach them about what this can be. And I think that's just great. As far as I'm concerned, This is one that I hope I have on my shelves. This is going to get that coveted rating of stock it. I think this is just an awesome, perfect whiskey. It is perfect for a 10-year-old heavily peated whiskey. So awesome job, Bruichladdich. All right, that does it for this episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. Please remember to like and subscribe. It really matters. It helps a lot. I'm almost at 50,000 subs, so every one counts. So if you happen to see this and you're not subbed, help me get that number. Anyway, thank you very much. Remember to check the comments for the other video of Bruichladdich. It's worth watching. And have a great rest of your night. Cheers.